decide now what we want to do. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
If we deal with it one at a time, we don't have to go back. There'll be a certain cleanliness of that.
Second.
Was there a motion made?
For what?
I move to strike that exception from what is not a gift.
So your motion is to strike paragraph 12 on line 130 to 133.
And it would be stricken both in the state and local conflict act and general assembly conflict act correspondingly.
Which would be on lines 375 to 378 and 901 to 904.
So
387, 390, 941 to 9.
whenever we strike one thing, we strike it 3 times. Is that right?
Yes, pretty much your motions are going to be in triplicate.
Okay. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
We don't have to go back and do this. Triplicate. Motion made by Delegate Albo and seconded by Delegate Mullen to strike paragraph 12. There's discussion on that. Any thoughts?
So if we're striking that language, it is covered someplace else in this code section. Is that correct? What do you mean?
Your situation.
My situation is covered, I understand that. But if we're taking that out, then that means that,
It's a cap, it's a gift covered by the cap.
okay,
And
okay.
the way around the current.
It's current law.
Was this,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate Gilbert.
was this Mr. Ogden's issue with Verizon with his son? Is that what
That was fixed.
We're still in discussion on the Albo motion to strike.
Can I further discuss my motion?
Sure. Recognize Delegate Albo.
Even if we kept this in, you'd be a moron
Right.
to take it anyways, because now you're arguing what a bona fide friend is. And you can talk to any lawyer and they're gonna say, well, I got arguments for and I got arguments against. So,
If you self-identify as a personal friend.
yes, you self-identify as a first friend, so, I mean,
Well, the other, just if I may speak to the motion, and I'm fine with the motion. One of the fears I think people have in this is that there are a lot of people who may be a lobbyist principal, you don't even know they're lobbyist principals. Well, if they're lobbyists, they're paid to lobby, you know all that stuff. But you can have people who are lobbyist principals, you don't really realize they're lobbyist principals, so it's totally unrelated to that. Because you have this bona fide personal relationship with them, they come to your birthday party, they give you a present. So if you were sitting down going, well, I know this person is barred, but if I can fit them into bona fide friend, then they're not, yeah, you'd be a moron. But what it really is catching that accidental trap of the person who goes, I just got a birthday present from my buddy. I didn't know he qualified as a lobbyist principal. As everybody knows, my gift report's empty because I don't do any of this stuff. It's not worth the hassle. This is the perfect example of why it's not worth the hassle.
Despite the fact you have many friends.
Well, I have a hard time arguing I have any bona fide friends.
I see Jeff Tomlin in the audience. Jeff, you have a comment, question?
I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not speaking on behalf of a client, but an example, before any of these laws went into effect, I worked in the governor's office and I got married. So, and I've worked in politics for 20 years, 15 years now. So I had a lot of friends coming to the wedding that were lobbyists. And the rules were different then, so I didn't have to report every single gift, but unless they were over $200 at the time. And I didn't get any over $200 from lobbyist friends, but this would require me to list ask every guest of my, either take no gifts at the wedding, which my wife would have hated, or
invite lobbyists.
or not invite lobbyists, or tell them, I need to know the value of the gift that you gave me, and report every person and the gift that they gave me on that wedding.
And Mr. Chairman,
It's
we worse because if they're lobbyists that are lobbyists for lots of principles, you have to know each of the principles because you have a gift cap that still applies.
That's true.
I know it's not a cumulative thing, but you still got to know who you're reporting it.
Yes, sir.
If I may, Noah Sullivan, Deputy Counsel in the Governor's Office. This is actually one of the things we had concerns about, just because I understand the Palmore quandary, but because of the way that the new disclosure works, we only disclose gifts from lobbyists, lobbyist principals, and others. So if this is not defined as a gift, anything at any amount would never even be disclosed if it's coming from a lobbyist. So we think the potential for abuse is problematic because these would fall under the gift cap exception for personal friends. It just wouldn't get disclosed. And
So you like the Albo motion to strike?
We're in favor of striking this out of the appendix.
I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the motion, but you got to put a finer point on that. It's not that everything's exempt. It's only things for bona fide friends on a special occasion would be exempt from that. So, yeah, there's a category of things. If you're a bona fide friend on a special occasion who gives someone something, today that's disclosed, tomorrow it wouldn't be. But it isn't that suddenly all gifts get unreported. Again, I don't care because I take 0 and nobody gives me gifts politically or otherwise. But I think that was an overstatement as to the effect of this language.
Delegate Lefwich with Delegate Kuzic on deck and Delegate Alba in the hole.
Let me know how paragraph 12 affects this fact pattern. I have a son in college, 21, he's dependent upon me. He has a girlfriend. The girlfriend's parent is the principal of Principal Lawrence. She gives him an iPad at Christmas. I have no idea. Someone reports me because a person in my immediate family sees a gift of $300. You can roll obvious. Does this protect me in this situation? Or to be protected enough?
You could answer Mr. Cotter or Ms. Gilbert. Hypothetical. There's a lot of hypotheticals out there we can throw out.
Does he still a dependent resident?
Does your son live in your home?
Yes.
And
Well, I mean,
He has to reside in the
Would you
same
have to
house
do
as
it?
the
first of all, you have to establish that he is a member of your family. To be a member of your family, someone has to both live in your home and be a dependent.
we live at home during the summer vacations.
Okay.
I claim as dependent
So
on
then,
tax
if
return.
your girlfriend's parents, if your, the fact pattern is your son's girlfriend's parents are lobbyists,
Or principal?
give him a iPad. If it falls, I would probably say, yeah, that would probably fall under the personal information. I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't. So
Does
it
12
would
address that?
It would
Is that
be,
what 12 is
so
intended to
what's
do?
currently in the
It's
law,
all right,
it'd be
okay.
okay to accept it, you just have to write it down.
How do I know about it?
Capital.
How do you know about it? You would.
He doesn't talk to me.
If he was going to pass on a personal friend against him.
Delegate Kuzic,
This would exempt you from writing it down, period.
you follow up?
Yeah, I just want to say I don't want anybody to think I'm being a pain here. I'm very cognizant of the fact that this is trying to fix a real problem. There's no doubt this is a real problem. And the wedding is the biggest example of this. I think we should try to, if we don't do this time, we should try to come back next year and figure out a way, especially with
Just
wedding.
call out wedding gifts.
I think wedding gifts I would be fine with that if we just carved out. I mean, I was gonna kind of propose that maybe, that wedding gifts. Because I'm still worried about the special occasion, the holidays, that opens the door to too much. And it's not defined, and I'm still worried about the bona fide.
Delegate Alba.
Remember the example that Greg gave us last year, and I'll do the analogy in my family. I have a birthday party for my kid, and of course people are going to be present. Do I have to put on the invitation, if you are a lobbyist or a lobbyist principal, please do not bring a gift to my child?
It's right into the RSVP.
Yeah.
And that's what Rebecca's getting.
As defined by
Their
the
personal
code
friend.
section. Yeah.
So this would say that I would not have to put a disclaimer on
No,
the.
you currently have,
January 3rd.
you currently have the friend exemption. You can
Delegate,
take it, but you have to report it.
Report it.
If it's over $50. So all of those birthday presents, you have to track them out and report them, but you can receive them. This would alleviate that obligation to ask them how much it was, keep a list, and report it. Hopefully that's easier.
Back here, Delegate Kuzic, Delegate Mullen. Okay, we're moving steadily ahead, members of the subcommittee. There was a motion on the floor that was made by Delegate Alba and was seconded.
I'm going to withdraw my motion and ruminate on this as it moves through the House of Delegates, because I see what it's trying, this is, our rule is always how far is the net cast, right? So you're trying to get rid of behavior where a lobbyist or lobbyist principal is going to disguise a bride in the form of a big present on a holiday. But seriously, how the heck am I supposed to know whether one of my kid's parents works for Northrop Grumman, who happens to have a contract with the state, and gives him a gift of $51?
that's very similar to Delegate Lethbridge, isn't it?
Right, that's why when he said that, I started applying it to my own life, and I started understanding what the
Again,
problem is.
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate Gilbert.
if somebody gives you a Lamborghini, you know, and like, oh, we're buds, like, somebody's going to jail, or at least somebody's gonna try to put them there, so, I don't, again, it's
The
hard.
bribery's already illegal.
Right.
Chris,
Questions for, maybe for the attorney, or Scott?
go ahead, Matthew.
Is, would this, that fact pattern that Chairman just mentioned, would this even apply to that? Because this is just about the donee and the donor. It doesn't include family members in this.
Probably depends on the nature of the relationship. Whether or not you could claim that they have a relationship because of a parent of the.
It applies to everybody. We're just defining this here.
Yeah.
So, it's just not well written.
Procedurally, members of the subcommittee, there was a motion that was stricken, so there is no motion on the table right now. Delegate Gilbert is still taking us through his bill, so.
Yes, sir. So the next thing is on line 134, is not a recommendation of the Ethics Council. This is something that came up during the training that we had, at least in our caucus, from ethics lawyers regarding, you know, just what the law is and how it applies. So,
This was my stick.
yeah, this is just anything on a stick. So, the issue, Mr. Chairman, is that there are, for years, since I got here, there are receptions. I haven't been to one in 8 years or so, probably, just because I'm usually working in courts late, but, there are other reasons I just decided not to go. Early when I was here, I remember I went to the Kraft Foods, like, 75th anniversary, 100th anniversary, whatever it was, celebration at the Jefferson. And I had like a Coke, and when I left, they gave me a complimentary Mr. Peanut lapel pin, which I don't know where that is anymore, but I should have kept it, because I ended up
Chris
getting,
Jones.
a $210 letter from Kraft Foods telling me that I had enjoyed $210 worth of hospitality, because of course they did it up right. They had ice sculptures, and they had, you know, they were putting the mashed potatoes in martini glasses, and they had a string quartet. And, you know, I had a soda and a lapel pin. So I was just offended even then at the notion that I got dinged for that much hospitality. I was there for 5 minutes, but my name got put on a list. So, when we were talking about the training about, who has to tell us how much it was, and is it our like, if nobody tells us what our share of, and I think Rebecca can educate us, that it's sort of the share of the event divided by the attendees?
It's the total cost divided by the number of persons who were there.
Okay.
Rebecca, if you'd like to join us at the table, you're
No,
more than welcome.
Let me just scoot up.
I will.
We will.
Here, why don't you sit between Greg and I, and that
She
way.
tries it, she'll
that
take
way-
over.
That way I
I
have a
will
say.
not, I won't though.
We want to make sure that if a member of our team.
So if somebody has a reception, and they thought 100 people were gonna come, but only 5 come, if only 5 people show up, it gets divided among the 5? So.
They're the denominator.
And the issue that came up in the training was, I guess it's their responsibility to tell the public official what that figure ended up being, but it's, I think, at the public official's peril if they don't do that. And I think, what I understand from the way Congress handled this many years ago, when they cut out like the sit-down dinners, which is correct, right? They don't do that. So, to me, the thing that we're trying to at least limit to restore the public trust, as we try to do, was the notion not of people mingling at a reception, whether it's at the Jefferson or whether it's next door at Old City Hall. It's not that, it's the huddling over the $100 or $200 meal at Morton's or wherever with a lobbyist that I think really leaves a distaste in the mouth of the general public. It's not standing around eating hors d'oeuvres, which we're gonna try to squeeze hors d'oeuvres into this definition in a minute, I hope, just to make Connor happy. Does everybody understand? So, and I tried to have Dave, distinguish between standing and sitting, and whether it's a meal or whether it's just something you're holding in your hand, or, So I don't know if we've gotten there exactly on the definition, but I do think that it's more fair to just say, if you go to a reception, that that's not the kind of thing that's contemplated by all these prohibitions that we have. Just because of the inconsistencies and who's supposed to keep track of it, and what if they don't tell you, and, anyway, go ahead.
So the 12-ounce filet mignon on a stick that David Albo likes, will that apply?
12 ounce on a stick.
Is that gonna be a big?
This really is harder than people think it is. And it's just like when you do criminal law. It has to be specific enough so people can be aware of what it means to violate it, but you can't delineate every fact pattern of the code. So the fact that it's complicated shouldn't surprise anybody. You read something like this on its face, you think, well, that is a little bit strange. Well, Mr. Cotter, of course, has always done his own research. So the Senate Ethics Manual, which is much more well established than what we're doing, they have a ban that they carve out food or refreshments of a nominal value offered other than as part of a meal, and then they have interpretive language that says they've adopted a reasonable common sense interpretation to include receptions where the attendees consume food, typically hors d'oeuvres, or drink while standing up as opposed to sitting down. Continental style breakfast where coffee and donuts and bagels are served as opposed to service of a hot meal. So the Senate's gone through the same stuff that we're going through. And so I think what they've done a decent job here of maybe need to add in the word hors d'oeuvres is try to describe, without saying it's 2 + 2 = 4, but try to describe these are the types of things that we don't want to discourage people from going to. So it actually does that standing walking distinction actually I think makes sense. The convenience of the consumption of the food and beverage actually does make some sense. I could see doing what they have done, which is after food, parentheses, typically hors d'oeuvres is what Senate has done. Depending what Mr. Cotter would like to do for point of clarity. But again, we can go around and around and around in that, but I think you've probably done a good job of closing most of the gray without delineating just a specific fact pattern.
Because most of these receptions, and we all go to them, or many do, there's no chairs to sit on unless you go to a chair far away. It's a walking around, talking kind of thing. You don't want to get a big plate, a small plate. It's like keep an oyster here or an egg roll there kind of thing.
So, Mr. Chairman, my motion would be to sort of, as the U.S. Senate has done in their wisdom, to add in after the word food. Would a parenthetical be the right way to do it?
I would, Mr. Chairman, I would, after,
Mr. Cotter.
I would, on line 135, add it after offered, and insert such as hors d'oeuvres, comma, so it would read, the full number 13 would read, attendance of the reception or similar function where food and beverages that can be conveniently consumed by a person while standing or walking are offered, comma, such as hors d'oeuvres, comma, but the attendees are not provided a full meal.
That's fine. That would be my motion.
Motion made by Doug Abib. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Is it okay to use French words?
That's a good point. Well, we're not in that freedom fries era anymore. But you never know when that's gonna.
Of course,
We'll manage appetizers if we
Yeah, yeah.
maybe the term hors d'oeuvres is actually an English
No,
word now.
we'll see how it goes.
Everything. I'm not gonna waste any time getting into what is French and what is English. The William Murray guys will really get into that. Okay, any discussion? Was that?
Go try it.
Okay. All in favor again? All in favor of the motion, give by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay. I didn't ask for any comments on that. If you guys have any, in the gallery want to talk about this, or?
Administration, I know y'all are just seeing this, but no harm.
You okay with hors d'oeuvres?
I think that makes, I'd be shocked if many of these are even reportable, because
Right.
most of the time they're over 50,
So can I say something about
Yes,
that,
sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Doug,
So let's say somebody did decide to get cute and make it a bigger, more expensive, more elaborate, more sitting
12
down.
ounce filet mignon.
Exactly. Then I think it reverts to the existing law on, we're back where we started. So you have a portable thing, and you have a cab, and you have the whole thing. So you would do that at your own peril, I think. And again, I think we're all, hopefully everybody in public service is erring on the side of caution. But
Not, but you got a yes or no?
no friends, no gifts.
Very good.
May I offer another amendment on this 13 at the end
I
of the sentence?
recognize you for that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Only because what you read regarding the Senate's things. They mentioned, I'm just a little concerned about provided a full meal, maybe comma, such as at a dining table or something like that, just to make it clear that we're talking, because you mentioned that they said something about sit down, and there is no sit down reference here.
Where'd your language go, Doug?
At the, line 136,
Do you even need to say anything after hors d'oeuvres?
While standing or walking, comma, such as hors d'oeuvres, comma, or continue to provide a full meal. So you're.
comma, such as at a dining table or something of that nature.
After the word
Sitting
meal,
down.
you're a
Yeah.
suffix to the end.
Mr. Chair.
Doug, you go.
So I suggest to fix that, I think if you just put a period after the amended language hors d'oeuvres, you don't get into,
Sitting or standing.
well, no, you leave all that in there.
Because it's really conveniently consumed while standing.
Standing or walking, and then that speaks for itself.
So-
You don't have to get into,
If I hear you, Dr. Gilbert, we would strike out the language beginning with the conjunction but on line 135 and take out the balance.
Yeah, that's
So, such as hors d'oeuvres, period, after the word
yes,
offered.
yes. We could put an exclamation point after it.
If that's allowed.
Have we done that anywhere?
We had a move.
Are there any exclamation
I'm
points in the code?
wait, I'm gonna have them. These are going to be emoticon.
Mr. Wiley,
I do have a question, but by doing this, are we creating some kind of negative presumption about the Rotary Club lunch where you do sit down?
That's
I
That
think that
covers
is
some-
covered.
There's other exceptions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something else.
stick with us, because we'll probably get to that in due course.
No, it's already.
Any further,
Franco, it's already in there.
any questions, comments? Okay, all in favor, give us an aye.
Mr.
Hold
I
on.
do think it is worth acknowledging. You are creating a negative implication for that exact same reception where people have to sit down and eat a cheeseburger instead of immediately walk around with it. I don't think it's who's having it, it's whatever reception is covered by this. If you can't immediately walk around with it, then you can imply it's not. Now, again, that just kicks it back to the existing rules you have, which means you report it on that stuff.
And anybody who wonders before they plan their event whether it's gonna be one or the other, they call
And,
her.
and what will happen is, everybody who holds a reception will have stand-up hors d'oeuvres.
We're still in the discussion and motion, Dr. Collins?
Or just real quick, I don't want to be smart about it, but yeah, okay, so we're at a reception, let's say downstairs, you know, we pick up pizza, we'll get the benches there. So I take my pizza and sit down at the bench. I don't mean to, and I would assume that we would still
Thought we
be,
gave that.
It can still be conveniently consumed, as in whether or not the
It's-
food is, the ability, the nature of the food being served can
Right.
be conveniently consumed while walking or standing, not necessarily how you in fact eat it.
right, so if I'm sitting, doesn't mean that, because it's not a seated event, meaning that I understand our goal here, but if we're talking about, well, you sat down, so therefore you need to report that, but the other 100 people who did sit down when they reported. And I'm not trying to.
It's not saying did you sit down, it's
Right, I
saying
know, I
can you
understand that.
conveniently consumed by a person.
Right, I got you.
And it's
Okay.
walking.
All right, that's
We are
fine.
trying to
Yeah.
capture
Good.
the nature and spirit of a general reception.
I got you, it's good.
Does everyone,
I think this is good, actually.
Yeah, I think it's good, I think it's fine.
And it won't say that you can't have chairs at your reception, or you can't have pizza that's too big,
I'm
or,
sitting down.
right,
is everyone,
well, you're not
I
going.
think everyone is cognizant of the motion, we've
Yeah.
had we're good lawyers, we can discuss this ad infinitum. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay. I think
Okay.
Mr. Connor has that. Are we done with lines 134, 136, Dr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Okay, well,
So, move on. The next thing I see that's underlined is in line 214.
214 of the substitute,
No, 201.
20,
Sorry.
page 201, right to that. Page 8,
That's removing language, which we like.
yeah.
This is supposed to, it's already supposed to be in order. Where's that?
Why do they tend to that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is, we probably need Delegate Albo for this eventually. This is trying to fix the notion that everybody, if you go to a Redskins game, that because there are 60,000, let's say 40,000 people there,
20.
okay, that they share a common interest, that is,
That's not Wiley attended event.
right.
Because you, the individual getting the ticket from the Wiley attendant for that event.
So, can somebody give us the history of how we got where we are with that?
Mr. Connor, you're probably the best suspect to answer that question, if you don't mind.
History of how this happened most likely is if there was a thing at a Redskins game involving the member of the governor's cabinet and a reception in a skybox. And so the question was raised whether or not that fell under the definition of violating business event. And with the broad language in clause 1, that would fall under as, and based on the plain reading of that language, it becomes so, it was that language, upon reflection after it was added to the code, was deemed to be too broad to cover the situations that were intended, so that this is why the council decided to take it out to try and narrow that back down to where the intent really was.
Do I follow that?
So, hey, Mr. Chairman, a smart person who follows this, not to throw a monkey wrench into it, but brought to my attention, what if you took that out, even if you take that out, you still have the problem of, what if somebody decided to have an event at the Redskins Stadium in the box while the game is going on, and it happens to mean all these other things, don't we still need to maybe narrow it further to try and say that you can't? Yeah, I mean, we're doing what we can here, but.
Whether or not it's a policy decision whether or not you want to narrow it further. The fact that the event that is being held at the larger venue does qualify under the definition would handle it.
Here's it, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Delegate Gilbert.
So I would, on all of that, I just bring it up because I said I would, but I don't know that we can solve every problem here. I would like to at least solve the problem where our previous, somebody previously gave somebody the advice that was sharing a common interest, liking football. And so if we take that out, I think we've done what the council is asking us to do. We can worry about fixing the rest of it if that continues to be a problem.
Yeah, the concern was that sharing a common interest could, if you're being aggressive, which hopefully no one would, that, you're Capital fans, you're Redskins fans, you're Olympic fans, you're, fans of the Masters in Augusta.
All right.
Well, that's a great question, because I know both political committees, DNC, RNC, RGA, Democratic Government Association, they will do boxes at different major concert events, and they will post.
That's political, man.
So that's carved out, right? That would not, okay.
Alright, so, using the Redskins,
Lobbyist principle.
right. So using the Redskins analogy, so the widget making company rents out a box at Redskins Stadium, and they invite 25 delegates to come enjoy a Redskins game at the box, okay? Now it's a widely attended event. How's it not a widely attended event?
They're not members of the public civic charitable professional organization to their industry to represent.
You wouldn't interpret that way, though, would you?
I wouldn't say that's 25 people in the group, that's 25 politicians going to
All right.
one guy's event.
Okay, fine. Let's say 10 delegates are invited. There's 25 seats available at Redskins Park. 10 of which are for delegates. The other 15 are for all the lawyers and Hunt Williams. So that's now a widely attended event, correct?
Okay, so again,
I'm going to finish. It's a question, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to finish it.
Welcome back, Delegate Albo. We're on
now, say your question again.
So my question is this. All right, let me just spell it all the way out. So,
Finish your hypo.
okay, hypothetical, 25 tickets are issued for a game at Redskins Park. It is a mixture of lobbyists, politicians, and civic-minded individuals.
Where, in a box?
Let's just say it's just in the box. Let's say it's a box.
It has to be open to the public.
Okay.
Okay, let's say it's
Some
not.
very good seats in the end zone, but open to public.
Open to individuals.
So a Redskins game where you have to purchase a ticket, or an Iron Maiden concert where you have to purchase tickets, would not be considered open to the public event?
I misspoke, it's open, it's not open to the public. It's
Open to individuals, so it can be a closed event, but it's open to the individuals within a particular industry. So the Rotary Club, no one else is allowed in.
Here's the problem. Right now, that who shares a common interest is the whole you drive the truck through.
Right.
Because anybody dudes who like girls are a thing who shares common interest. That's the problem. Yes, after we get rid of that giant one, you can cherry pick some facts, get an anecdote that's problematic. But the point is, we know that one's problematic.
Right.
We know we need to get rid of that one. Now, if the person wants to try to defend why they have their widely attended event at the Ritz-Carlton or the Redskins game versus a barbecue restaurant, that's the form, and that's gonna be, but we gotta get rid of that widely attended event thing. If somebody else down the road wants to try to figure out how to tighten it more, figure out how to tighten it more.
Well, because my question, to finish my question is to say, should we put a limit, say it's not a widely attended event, if the cost per person exceeds X?
Let him go.
This will be a great thing to recommend that the council look at.
Okay,
And-
that's fine.
And I'm gonna recommend that he be on it, so
Oh,
he can
wow.
miss 5 days of work instead of me next year. Anyway, go
Since
ahead.
you're his mentor, you have the right to sentence him.
It's worth looking at.
You know,
I
I
just
agree.
think we should fix what we can for now.
No, I like I said, I'm sorry.
Administration again for the-
So, taking out this, small one, who shared a comment, we're tightening up the statute. Yes, sir, recognize the administration, thank you.
The only thing I would add is, that, I think since we've covered receptions, I think that's really what this widely attended event thing was really aimed at, was there aren't many things not covered specifically by different sections, so it might be worth having the council just look at whether it's worth having a broader exception within the statute.
I think you might be right, yeah.
But I would just suggest that as something to consider for future effort.
Yeah.
If we want to refer a question to the council, how do we do that? Just by you hearing what I say, or?
Yeah.
Hold on, I have very little actual power around here. Rebecca, put that on the list to look at at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
That's how we refer to the council, you just saw it. Okay.
He's so
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Feels good.
Even got Chris Collins' life destroyed. So,
And he's left too.
get him
All
out of
right,
the room,
so
though.
next, lines 214, 215 requires all lobbyist registration to be filed electronically. Lines.
We'll keep on going, unless someone wants to stop where we're going with a comment, if not, please, I'll go, but we'll keep rolling.
Apparently all but 30 were done electronically last year, and the rest can figure it out. The next one removes the requirement to list all other lobbyists for the same lobbyist principle on lobbyist registration. Rebecca, do you want to explain that?
Line 229 to 30.
Yep, so right now, the registration statement has a box that requires the lobbyist to list all of the lobbyists that they have principal, but it is not uncommon for a principal to hire lobbyists from 2 different firms. And so then becomes a problem where the lobbyist might legitimately not know that, and then they technically lied on the form.
So they don't know if their principal has hired another lobbyist to kind of shadow them. Double blind scenario. Sure that happens.
And also, this is information that is easily found in our database now, because you could search that principal and pull up every single lobbyist, register for that person, regardless of whether or not they were from somebody else's form.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I'm gonna keep you keep doing this, because we're getting very technical now, and a lot of this was just cleanup stuff, and it's mostly stuff that she found, so,
You can yield the floor to Rebecca,
please.
please. Said.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next one is our Dave.
Patient with me.
Thank you. Dave might be better at this.
All right, then, the other thing involving with lobbyist updating, that's what we did with the signature there, we also get rid of currently, if the principal, you're going to waive the principal's signature on the forms, you actually have to have a separate form for it, we're just breaking that out into a separate form, so the council can prescribe a separate waiver for the lobbyist principal to sign. That's all back in.
Got it. You can keep going, Mr. Cotter, as the
Beginning
designee
on
of Doug Gilbert.
line 242, and then later on in the bill, we clarify the process for how a lobbyist can how lobbyists and lobbyist principals can terminate the relationship, because currently there's not really a mechanism. So if you stop working for a principal in March, you will still be showing up as a lobbyist for that person until the period rolls around. So this is this meeting process
There's a
on
bright
how
line.
those relationships can be terminated.
So the principal gets to say,
So the principal gets to
Take him
work
out of there.
or the lobbyist,
Right,
but
right,
if, so you no longer have to be associated with somebody who may not be associated with you. Line 275, the switch to January 10th for when the lobbyists have to give you summaries of their Schedule A or B or disclosure forms for your purposes of reporting is reflective of the fact that later on in this bill, we moved the filing deadline to February 1 to give you an extra 2 weeks to do filing, and also because the reporting period is from January through the end of December, that gives you another, currently you have 15 days from December 31st to start your reporting. This is just giving you an extra 2 weeks essentially, and so this also gives you the fact that the lobbyists will give you a full report, because currently they report in November, so you're obviously going to miss a month.
This way,
Everybody got that?
other than January the 10th, you will get all your
On
advisories.
January 10th, you will get your advisories from the lobbyists, and then you can go forward from there. Lines 276 to 283 is not a council recommendation, it's a new thing that is being added into the bill, which is because of the session gift report that was added to the code recently. We are adding another report from lobbyists to give a report of their gifts given to members during the course of the session. So it's essentially mirroring the report they give at the end of the year. So when the members and from when the governor and members of the governor's cabinet have to fill out that session gift report of the gifts from beginning of the session to the government signing guy, you actually know what the lobbyists are going to claim they have given you.
So can I just say,
Go.
Mr. Chairman, the policy, if you recall, we were the only state in the nation to go to twice-a-year reporting. And then when we did it, we figured out why we were the only state that went to twice-a-year reporting, because that's stupid and you don't have to do that. But we also decided as a matter of policy that if we were gonna go to once-a-year reporting, that the real thing we should be focusing on to ensure public trust is before you then have to stand for re-election, and, you wouldn't have your election and then, I have to report my gifts now after the election's over in January or February. To keep sunlight on this process, that for members of the General Assembly, and this only relates to us because it's a session gift, go ahead.
And it also relates to the governor, lieutenant
That's right,
governor,
I'm sorry,
and members of the governor's cabinet.
You're right. But for activities that are going on while we're in session, then we have a separate now gift report just for that period, which has nothing, you don't have to list your income anymore, you don't have to list your stocks. It's not a financial disclosure like the once-a-year disclosure is. It is a gift disclosure, so that people, before then, you would have to stand for re-election, for instance, could be able to say, we saw what went on during this period of time. So the problem is, when we did that, we forgot to say, you have to, like you always did and always do, you have to tell us remind me how much that was, if somebody participated in something like that. So that's a real problem for a lot of people who are not good at keeping track of that thing, and who rely, again, at their own peril, but who rely on the lobbying community to tell them, as they were supposed to do, what the gift was. So this would, and there's an emergency clause associated with this, right, Mr. Connor?
This sector, yes. This
Okay.
is added to the emergency clause in the bill, so it
So-
will go into effect on this.
So when is the gift report this year due, Mr. Connor?
Excuse me?
The gift report this year, when is
Session
that?
gift.
The session gift report is due on May 1st? Yeah, May 1.
So, when would this legislation contemplate that the lobbying community would have to notify people of any gifts they received?
3 weeks after the adjournment is signed up.
Okay.
So if we look at this policy, this has an emergency clause on it, it goes straight to the governor. The governor will have a certain period of time to sign it. Thinking about our dates now. Please join in if you have any thoughts on the administration.
I guess it depends on when the bill, comes to us. It could be a 7-day bill, it
Sure.
could be a 30-day.
I mean, of course, they could propose any amendments that would clean that up if it gets, but I do think that this is something that, just, again, we're trying to be fair to everybody, not just, make this a better government, just also trying to be fair to people who are in public service for not falling into unwary traps. This was apparently an accidental trap that we created, so.
My guess is that you'll see more people following the Greg Habib rule of no gifts.
No friends, no gifts.
Avoid all this. Doug and Chrissy.
You can have all the sit-down pizza you want, you just stay
As
on.
long as money shares with it. Okay, that's cool, thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Doug Riddick.
Del Gilbert, would we then also, at the end of the year, include that, those,
The session gift report, you do not have to repeat the gifts listed on the session gift report on your annual.
And that's current law.
and that's current law, that's right, I was wondering if it was changed.
And
Yeah.
under Greg, you have.
Okay.
with that, whoever your designee is, keep rocking.
Then moving on, the next amendments come in on lines 285.
If anyone has a question in the audience, you wanna call timeout, have a question, let me know, but now we're gonna keep on going. Since it is 4:30, Mr. Carter.
Lines 285 to 298, as well as over on the next page, 316 through 320 is more of the infrastructure that is around for now, for being able to have that termination of the lobbyist principal relationship. So that's what those, and we've talked about that already.
Okay.
Next amendment comes in on line 371. Currently, there's a exception from the definition of gift for gifts related to private profession or occupation. There's it is somewhat unclear as to whether or not, if you're a volunteer, your volunteer service come under the terms profession or occupation. So, to make sure if you're the outstanding volunteer at the food bank, that doesn't count as a gift.
Could I just raise a little concern on that one, that we had, that, again, because we're only disclosing gifts from lobbyists, that this, I know exactly what this is trying to cover, we're a little concerned about potential shenanigans of big trips coming from lobbyists for commemorating someone's volunteer service that's totally unconnected to them. There might be a way to tighten it up language-wise, but that's the fear that we had, that it could be, it's a problem just inherent in this exception in general, that you can give a gift to somebody for their professional, whatever, it doesn't say it has to be tied to the specific organization or whatever. So that might be worth thinking about. It was something we, I understand what we're trying to do, but that was a concern we did have about the new bill.
What if you put the word bona fide in that sentence of the trying to gift? Does that solve, or does that cause problems? All right. Well, again, Mr. Chairman, I do feel like people engage in shenanigans at their own risk. Like, why would you say, oh, I'm going to Hawaii because I'm the volunteer of the year?
Blood donor of the year.
I just,
Is your problem with the existing language or the addition of the volunteer service?
I think what got sort of, it used to be before once the forms came out of the code, the rule before was that everything gets disclosed, the cap applies to lobbyist gifts. There's certain things that don't, right? And by adding volunteer service, we're adding another type of thing that never gets disclosed. So the issue is, where things aren't getting disclosed at all, that's where we think there's a possibility of more shenanigans. That's the issue that I think the new system, where we're only reporting gifts from lobbyists, if it's not a gift, then it kind of opens the door.
Was this one that was a council recommendation that came out of a
This
real
is a
case?
council recommendation.
And without naming names, what's the nature of the issue that came out of the volunteer service? I mean, someone gets an award for being Salvation Army Bringer of the Year or something? I'm just curious, what this
I think the council's thinking was thoroughly much along those lines, Mr. Chairman, which was, it did not think that private profession or occupation necessarily encompassed their volunteer service, because it is not a profession and is not what you may think of as an occupation. So to make that list cover all things you may be doing in your private life, that was the recommendation that they had. Mr. Chairman?
Doug,
I would tighten it up a little bit. I think if you said volunteer board member service, because there's a ton of volunteer services, just that opens up a huge Pandora's box. I mean, we we be out volunteering, we pick up our, we go to the school, we do something at there's a lot of different things, anything, but you could be a volunteer that's just at any level. But if you're at the board level, that's where you're going to be in these kinds of situations anyway.
Gilbert?
we back up a second. So, again, it has to be, it doesn't matter what it is or what it's for, as long as it's not from a prohibited party, right?
No, the two things didn't run out.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but like, under what circumstances would you be doing volunteer service and be getting a gift from a lobbyist or lobbyist principal?
So this would really actually be more applicable to the state and local officers,
Okay.
because they're prohibited from classes one.
Gotcha.
Normally, it would fall into the public service.
Contracts.
And the definition of a contract in the act is really broad.
I give an example, not to put it on
All right,
but
so you're gonna have the better, sorry.
please, let me finish that thought.
I was gonna say, Mr. Wiley's local government guys are gonna have volunteer for some local charity that also has gets $10,000 a year from the county to do something for the county.
They're named volunteer of the year by the YMCA, and the YMCA has a contract with the city recreation department to do swimming classes.
But for a scenario like the Freedom of Nature Conservancy, that they're lobbyists, some members may do volunteer work for Nature Conservancy, and you're on their Northern Virginia Board of Advisors, and they say, we'd like you to go on a 2-week trip to Brazil to look at the rainforest. That's the kind of thing that might be large enough, if you're stupid enough to take it, that you're trying not to allow that to happen. Doug, Chris, you have something?
The reason I mentioned board members, because already most nonprofit boards are gonna have that in their bylaws, or they're gonna have an ethics policy anyway that you can't, as a board member, accept gifts. So, it seems to me to make it.
So your idea, Doug Krizik, was to insert a word in volunteer service?
I wouldn't leave it open as volunteer service. I would say, or serving as a board member, volunteer board member.
Service, or service as a volunteer board member? Doug, you have a problem?
No, I mean, I appreciate, the gentleman works in that area, and I appreciate that, but I think he's forgetting the many, many possibilities that this represents, especially for local government officials, and not to do nefarious things, but to get caught up in something beyond their control that they didn't even think of, and trap them and deter good people from being in public service, and that's the whole reason that, doing something for your job or because you were doing it out of the goodness of your heart is all we're trying to contemplate there.
Sam, I have a question.
Doug,
I know what we're talking about, I don't actually understand this sentence. Any gift related to the private, professional, occupation, or volunteer service of an officer or employee or of a member of his immediate family. What is the officer employee referring to?
Officer, employee, state or government.
Okay, so I would read this, say, any gift related to private, professional, occupation, or volunteer service of an officer or employee of local government or of a member of his immediate family. That's what officer employee is?
Yes. Or state, it's both state and local. If it's state and local conflict of interest, so it would be both a state or local officer or employee.
Okay, and so, all right.
Does this include judges? This section?
Don't believe judges under this section.
No,
Got it?
The jury commission still.
That's my belief.
That's separate, sure, that this,
Well, and they will be taken out too.
right, that's their
And
issue.
which is another recommendation to the
That was
council.
CLA last year.
Just as a prohibited gifts.
Just for, yes, yeah.
I know you people won't know this, but when we're thinking about these hypotheticals in mind, don't just think you're a House of Delegates member, think you're a member of the Warren Board of Supervisors, try to put yourself in their
Yeah, that's a
shoes.
good point.
Because, try to, if this applies to them, I think some of you were in local government, Delegate Collins and the County Board of Supervisors, and some other people were, so try to, remember, maybe if you were a local government person, it's just slightly different.
I'm thinking a lot about that.
Yeah.
Is there an amendment proposed, Mr. Chairman?
I don't think there
No,
was.
I withdraw it.
Okay, with that, we'll keep going.
Moving on is line 383, which is Neil provides for attendance at meetings, which we had already discussed on the lobbyist forum. Lines 387 through 393 are also the exceptions that we've already discussed on the lobbyist forums, gifts given on a special occasion, and the reception language. We obviously add a reserves there and make the same amendment we made previously.
But when we make an amendment, we're making it to all the places.
Yeah, we're making it everywhere.
So assuming it's the same topic, same language comes up.
Conforming amendments will be made throughout.
Can you take us through times?
Line 397 is also the addition of the donee's son-in-law or daughter-in-law to the definition of relative.
But can we stop there for just a second?
Okay.
Since we brought up relative, spouse, child, uncle, aunt, niece, nephew, first cousin, person who's engaged to be married, spouse, parent, okay, grandparent, okay, never mind. Thank you. I was reading slowly, so I
You're gonna take
apologize.
us
I want to make sure I want my
mom.
mom to continue to give me birthday presents and Christmas presents, thank you.
Mom's gonna give you crap.
You don't have friends, and your mom don't give you bread.
No, his mom.
That's right, yeah, my mom. Let's stop with, say we get on
Mr. Carter, keep going.
Habib's mother does love him.
She loves Todd more than
She does love me too.
Loves Todd more.
Line 463 is the same as the exercise of the who shares a common interest from the definition why they attend events.
The definitions out of the way.
Next will be on line 529 through 533, which is a recommendation of the council, which is taking judges out of the prohibition on the gift, taking them out of the gift cap. Judges were having an issue with the BBA being a lobbyist principle, and so judges were not going to CLE functions and BBA events, and because the canons of judicial conduct already cover judges' ethical behavior, it was decided by the council, and the Supreme Court also made the decision.
And there's an entire investigative body
Body,
dedicated
jurors.
to, yes.
But the follow on that, we all are lawyers, we all are probably active in local bars. I will tell you that in my home county, the judges stopped coming to the monthly Loudoun County Bar Association lunches because they were afraid. And it may have happened in your localities too. So I'll get out of those things.
Can you talk about it a little bit further? Because the big difference between going to a conference to learn what the bar is thinking and going to the homestead for 3 days and having the bar pay for your place to stay.
That's true.
I mean, ever since this started happening, when I go to the DTLA conference, I pay for everything, and the only gift I accept is the waiver of the registration fees. And because I'm a speaker.
Treated like all other speakers.
Right.
The same apply to BBA membership. They used to provide free memberships to members of the General Assembly, now they don't anymore.
I don't have to, but I do. Because I want to be like Greg, I want to be able to submit a report that says I never received a gift.
I mean, the truth is, again, like, this is creating the thing that oversees us. They already have a thing that oversees us. They've already got cans, they got their own set of rules, and they've got Juror Commission, they've got the Office of Executive Secretary. So frankly, if this doesn't accomplish it, I hope we have totally carved them out of any of this crap, because we shouldn't be governing them.
Well, that's a good point,
The
too.
Supreme Court can actually govern them.
Right.
Good point. Any questions on this Judge Crab about Mr. Palmore? I know you did some work for the DBA where you got a judges section, don't you?
I was just gonna point out to Delegate Chairman Albo's point that this only deals with the prohibited gifts extinction. So the judges would be permitted to attend conferences and events for their local or state bar, but they would still have to disclose any gifts that.
I would like to request that Todd request, that Ms. Stefanski request, that the Ethics Council meet with the Office of Executive Secretary of the Supreme Court and figure out if there is a way for us to totally carve them out.
Delegate, Joe, you want to join on?
We had, I don't know if I can address that, there was, in last year's bill, there was an enactment clause where the Chief Justice convened a working group of judges and bar associations and all those groups like we're talking about, and they came up with several different recommendations of ways to approach it. Some were take judges out of this entirely because the canons apply to them and they got jerked and all this other stuff. This was the narrowest, but viewed as the most politically possible approach. But I think there were a lot of people that were participating in that would have supported the broader taking judges out of this completely. And I know at the council, Senator Norman certainly expressed support for that.
All right, I would like to offer, to get the sense of this committee, whether or not an amendment to totally carve them out would be what we would like to advance.
Let's open table discussion. What do you people think about a total carve out for judges? Delegate Albo.
I like the idea, because it's very infuriating for me to go there and have to live with different rules than the judge. And when we're governed by the same piece of paper, right? So if they're governed by a separate body, and albeit they actually had more aggressive oversight.
They could remove them.
Yeah, because JERC is actually an investigative body, so they actually have more aggressive oversight than we do. Maybe less rules, but more oversight. So I think it would be better for us just to see if it's possible for us to just totally excise them from the whole thing and let them
They won't
deal with
before they find out it exists.
Okay.
They didn't have all these problems
What's the thoughts of Doug Mullen, Doug
No, I
Gilbert?
think
Yeah,
it's
I had
something
no
that needs to be
idea.
investigated.
Doug-
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
If I could add, that there's already a.
Briefly, Doug, if,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Calmore.
There's already a prohibition on ex parte communications with judges, so the experience of them going to, dinner or something with a litigant that practices before them is, already addressed, so just to add that to the discussion, yes.
It sounds like.
Well, here's what I'm saying, I'm not saying now is necessarily the right time in the process to make that amendment. I wanted to see if that's something the committee was interested in, because they've already worked on some language, all right, we got about 10 more steps. What you're hearing is that you all took the narrowest path, we may be interested in a broader path, so show us how to do it when the time's right.
So it sounds like that another referral from Doug Gilbert to Rebecca, that we like the idea of a carve-out for the judges, but will it?
They've already done it, he just told us they've
You've
got.
already done it.
The language has already been drafted, and I think we could work with
Yeah.
staff to
If
get
you
that.
could get that language, Rebecca, that'd be great. With that,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
To Ethics Council.
Okay.
This is Alan. The ethic is a slightly more complicated topic because the judges are completely removed from the State and Local Conflict of Interest Act. The reporting requirement ostensibly also goes bye-bye. They don't report anything. So you start to have questions about should judges be reporting the things they receive, and to whom should they be reporting? Should it be reported to the council? Should it be reported to the judiciary? So there are multiple variations, but there's also complicated policy decisions that need to be decided if you're going to remove judges from the act.
But Mr. Chairman, let me get the language from them, and we'll have a conversation what all happens with it. If it were up to me, they would have nothing to do with any of this stuff. Let the Supreme Court govern judges. If they wanna have a report, let them have a report. They've got your, but we'll get language and figure it out.
So no changes to Delegate Gilbert's bill today, we're just planning for the future. And with that, Doug Gilbert, we still have Mr. Cotter, Rebecca.
So line, where are we at, line 544?
We're now in further sections.
Sorry.
We are in further exceptions, Mr. Chairman, on lines 541 and 542, and also again on 544.
Local
There's
government
a
people.
exception for local localities of very small, less than 10,000 people being able to get around to having a contract with their member of local government, because if you may be the only person in that locality who provides service, is an issue with a surveyor, and that, I think it was, who is a member of the board, but he's also the only surveyor in the entire county, and because the exception already applies to cities and towns, it was just bring in the counties of the same size. In addition, on lines 545 and 550
There are
is
counties that come up less than 10,000 people.
Yes, there are.
Yes.
Okay.
Bath County. We narrowed the personal interest, we lowered the personal interest back the first time in 2014, where we supposed to do ethics reforms to 10,000, 5,000. There are 3 places where it got missed, so lines 545 and 550 are just clean up, clean patch.
Okay, keep going.
Same on 559, moving from 10 to 5.
We're at page 22 if you're following along.
We're on page 23.
We're halfway there.
We're almost, and the word former.
That's
It's gonna go fast.
Yeah, no. On lines, coming up on lines 598, essentially down through 621, is not a recommendation of the council, but what it is essentially cleanup. Currently, you have, in subsection A, is when each officer who has personal interest in the transaction has to disqualify himself, and then there is a list of exceptions. However, it was written as one entire disjunctive list. So as opposed to you having, here's when you have to disqualify yourself, except 1, 2, and 3, it was essentially, here's how you have to disqualify yourself, and then a list including the exceptions. So that is really just cleaning that up, so now it's clear, which is what the new subsection B on line 612 through 613 makes clear that what used to be 2, 3, and 4 in the list are actually exceptions to 1.
Okay, proceed.
Moving on from that, we will be going over to page 647 to 654, which is more on the judges. I don't know if it's worth discussing or not.
Keep going.
Moving on. Line 656 there's a new code section that's going to be created that deals with essentially there are two times you have to file. One is, of course, on the filing deadline. The other is as a condition of assuming office or employment. And it's unclear as to what that meant in terms of what time period was covered by when you assumed office or employment, when did you file, when was that form actually due. So the new code section that's referenced there on line 656.
We'll be talking about it in a few minutes.
We'll get to, but that is what that code section does, is essentially set forth the rules for figuring that out, so there is uniformity.
That's what 2.23118.2 is.
Yep. Line 668 through 670 is the February 1st deadline, moving the deadline. That is also on line 679. Line 671 is again moving towards uniformity in how we're doing this reporting. 686 is we are clarifying currently forms are made public no later than 6 weeks after filing. What we're clarifying is the actual filing deadline as opposed to 6 weeks after an individual files. So the council is not required to keep track of each person and when time their form came in and when it has to be made public. Everything will just be put forth to the public 6 weeks from February 1st, assuming this bill goes into effect.
Okay. Page 28.
Page 28.
So that would preclude any earlier release. You couldn't release it prior to the filing deadline.
It shall be made public no later than 6 weeks after the filing deadline, so the council could release it earlier if they wanted to, but they would not release any individual earlier until the filing deadline has passed.
Okay.
So no one's getting out ahead of everybody else.
Okay. Only Mr. Cotter.
782 is the February 1st, 784 is the filing deadline that I just talked about. 811 through 814, which is a recommendation of council, is allowing the local clerks who receive the filings for the local complex forms to redact out residential addresses, personal telephone numbers, and signatures. The council has that authority now for the state filers, and there is an AG's opinion that says that the clerks do not have this authority, and this is just giving them the exact same authority that the council has.
Very good.
Page 20 is again moving the date to February 1st.
Mr. Cotter, a good question. There are some towns that they don't have a clerk, they have a thing called a recorder.
Yeah.
Would that be covered by this? I'm not gonna stop the gravy train going there.
I would presume they would be. I assume the clerk would
That's
be.
why you've heard that term?
Yeah, I've heard it, I'm not
Opposite
sure.
of the gravy
I think it's
train.
probably pretty rare.
Sorry.
This is the end of the
Freight
gravy
train.
train.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, according to learned counsel sitting to my right, if they are as a reporter can only be in a town with less than 3,500, and if that's the case, then there's no filing requirement.
Right, good point, thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Cotter.
It's on video.
824 to 837 is what I described before, is giving uniformity, explaining when forms are due, what the time period it is covered by somebody who is taking a filing as a petition assuming office. One thing that is in there is if you assume office or employment in January, you just file at the regular filing deadline as opposed to actually having to file you take your job on January 10th, you don't bother filing on January 10th, you just wait around to the next deadline to file. Other than that, if you take office mid-year, you file for the preceding 12-month period through the non-proceeding when you took your office or employment.
That clear? Okay, keep going.
Line 856 to 860 is a change. It is not a recommendation to the council. What the council had recommended was that advice given by the council could be brought forth as evidence as to what the council had said. What this language actually does on 856 to 860 is give actual immunity. If you've sought a written informal advice from the council and they have responded to where you make a written request for advice from the council, we respond to that advice after full disclosure of the facts, then you will be immune from a violation of the Conflicts Act, which is what happens now for formal opinions. And the issue is because the council meets 4 or 5 times a year, it's hard to get a formal opinion. So if you have something happen this weekend that you need advice on,
And we had a special meeting, Mr. Chairman, just to consider people who were, deadline extensions. But now we don't have to do that anymore, luckily, but.
Is that Thomas?
Alright, so I contact the office and I give them my fact scenario of what's about to happen. They write me a letter that says, you're perfectly acceptable. I left out the parts.
Then you would not have given full disclosure of the facts,
Okay,
and I would argue the immunity would not have passed.
right, I understand that, I'm wondering how, this is almost like a qualified immunity, where if someone's gonna be determining, oh, you should not rely, that letter is nice, but that letter does not apply to you because it only applies to this it could be a narrowly interpreted,
She's saying it doesn't go far enough.
no, what I'm thinking is that you do leave something out. For example, I forgot to tell you that, that the trip is paid for, but I didn't tell you it was gonna be a first-class trip on this private jet. Or something. I'm having a hard time finding a good example.
The language for the immunity mirrors the language that is there for immunity that is given to you either by or an opinion of from your local commonwealth's attorney. So it is same already for that immunity that can attach.
And I don't wanna dicker with the language. I think that's for a trier of fact to determine whether or not that I was as up and up front. It just raised a small flag for me, a yellow flag.
Motion flag is up, Delegate Albo.
From a drafting standpoint, is the reason why you're making the immunity for informal in a separate paragraph as opposed to finding where the immunity is the formal and just saying formal and informal?
The immunity that comes from the formal advice is in 30-3. It's in a different code section, so.
Oh, it was existing law before this thing
Yeah.
came about?
So, next comes in on lines 879 to 880, which is moving filing of
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate Albo.
so, you know how it works when you look in the code and you find something and you don't find it someplace else. Would it be smart for us to say something here like in 856, in addition to the immunity code section blah, 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 relate back?
Second. Bad idea. Alright. All you guys who are on the CRIM subcommittee will definitely pick up on Doug Albo just said. It's not a bad idea. Everyone follow what that was? That was excellent. Is that clear?
Yep, clear.
Did Dave hear it? Is he gonna do it?
We don't need a motion, but since the committee, please do what Doug Albo just said. It's a great idea.
Next, line 879 to
Do that without objection.
Objections ordered.
879 to 880 is moving filing of the statement of economic interest a candidate has to file from the council to the state board of elections. It was originally at the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office. It got changed last year, and it just does not work well with the council because the candidates are not in the electronic system.
Right. So Mr. Chairman, as I understand it, so the council doesn't even know who's running for office, and they don't know who's supposed to be filing. If something comes in, they're like, who's this, where does this belong?
Show up and hand in forms and ask for receipts.
They didn't know who you were, right?
I did that in August, they
Yeah.
didn't even have a formula. So,
And, well, that's a different story, but anyway, Mr. Chairman, so I don't know where right. I don't know. Is he voting? Who's that?
Before voting.
You wear a bow tie and pin, let you anywhere.
Alright, question for the chairman. Candidate running, an incumbent running for election, do I have to file both?
You've already filed.
you've already filed.
You don't need to file as a candidate, you can file as a member.
So me filing what I've already filed with that covers that?
Yeah, you're already, you're as an incumbent, you're good.
I just wanna make sure that's.
Now, the administration has left, Mr. Chairman, so I don't know how they feel about this, but that was of not much consequence anyway, but I just am curious if does anybody know what they are, okay.
I think happy hour started.
Okay, well, we think this is better policy, let the Board of Elections deal with their candidates.
The next change that has not been discussed already is on line 979, which is actually just fixing a typo in the definition of personal interest in a transaction that means conflicts of interest with the General Assembly members. We actually likely use the term officer to employee accidentally, it needs to be legislator,
Right.
so that's
Good
that.
catch. How do we miss that?
I always wondered about that second.
Did we skip 942 and all that?
You remember,
It's all
you remember the actually read the bill
Oh,
cost.
okay.
It's the same thing we've talked about on the other
I
forms.
It's all blending
You
together.
need a
I'm sorry.
Democrat and actually read the bill cost.
Line 1075, and then on 1092 to 1104 is the same stuff we talked about already about assuming office or employment and when the time frames are, so if somebody come in on a special election, they will figure out how to file.
Okay.
30-124 deals with, again, the written informal advice, gives immunity to members of the General Assembly as well. So the same thing that we did for the state and local previously, this is for you guys.
Excellent.
Powers and duties of the council, on page 43, we are going to require that all obvious registration statements to be filed with the county will be filed electronically. Most all are already, we're already requiring disclosure to be filed electronically, so this is just closing that loop. So everything is electronic if it goes to the council. It also clarifies that the only people who are filing with the council are people who are required to file with the council, as well as the only people who are required to file electronically are those filed with the council, so the localities just don't have that issue. Lines 1163 to 1165 is the follow-up on the issue with the immunity coming from informal advice, because currently informal advice is confidential, it doesn't go out from the council. This is saying if somebody is going to invoke the informal advice, then the request and the informal advice given now becomes a public document.
Okay. Is that all?
Then on
Last page.
1206 to 1213, which is,
Gives a slight extension.
it gives an extension if the agency coordinator, the person at your government agency, does not get you the form in time for you to start filing within the deadline, so it comes to you after the deadline, you get an automatic 5-day extension. If they give it to you 3 days ahead of time, you get a 3 days, so 3 days before the deadline, you get an automatic 3-day extension, so it's to give the innocent employee, essentially, whose superior fell down on the job and getting them access to either the electronic filing or actually just handing them a paper form, giving those innocent people an extension, and what does get is those people who are responsible would be liable for a civil penalty of $250.
Well, I believe we've gone through 1,217 pages of text. Thank you, Doug Gilbert, and everyone else. We still have to make a motion, and I'll recognize someone for a motion.
Motion to report.
Motion to report as inclusive of
As
the
amended.
amendments.
With amendments, yes.
With amendments. Second. Discussion, motion, anyone? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, we will have a amendment in the nature of a substitute done. Chairman Albo, this committee, we're done unless you have other tasks for us.
This will be up next Friday.
So, well, we've got a week.
Thanks for
Got
staying.
to-
Look, he
Well, that-
doesn't ask anybody to do anything, he would do himself.
Learned it this swimming pool.
For that, the committee will rise at 5 o'clock.
By the way, mental health got done before we did.
Oh.
I thought it was done 15 minutes ago.
I lay that, Chairman.
I'm just saying.
Sorry.
We were more thorough.
We are more thorough.
Thank you, everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. No doubt.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have with Rob right now. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Roger. Did we fix all the local government concerns?
Well, by us, I wish there was some way to make the editorial writers have.
Right, I know, it's fine, we all might know, we want, I want to know.
If they had a clue of everything they did.
I want to know what
It's easy to throw block shots.
I just want to know what.
It's easy to take you out.
Ignore the need.
That's what I'm asking then, is to
I
give
could
us
not
a
agree
list
more, but
of what stops
the
happening.
nature of
on
the
people's
case.
lives.
Yeah.
So we can, and then we'll just go back.
Hi, Roger. Have a good weekend. We'll be talking next week.
Thank you.
Yes, so the weekends.